What's up, Sean? How you doing, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm all right. Sorry about your grandfather.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Appreciate that. How's everything been?
It's okay. I'm kind of crappy on the weekends. That's my biggest problem.
It's the weekends.
Huh?
The
Yeah, my
weekends.
weekends. Like I got my friend called me up on Friday. We went out and had beers and dinner, and then me and my wife went out on Saturday, and I'm like, and then I weighed myself this morning. I'm like, you just kind of overdid it.
Yeah.
And I gotta get to where so tonight's no problem, tomorrow no problem, Wednesday no, Thursday no problem, Friday, Saturday, Sunday I'm kind of like, I got no willpower, I got no strength, and I got to work on that.
Okay.
It's been my biggest. Even the juice is going, everything else is working. I'm doing, and a lot of this stuff. I guess we're on here alone.
Alyssa just signed on.
Okay, well, a lot of this stuff has stuff to do that in another program that I used to go to, and so I it's a lot of refresher. So it's pretty, but I think it's interesting, and I have to get. I have started working out.
Good.
I've been doing my Peloton. I'm 5 out of 7 days this week.
Good.
Just doing 20-minute beginner sessions. Because I used to do that a lot, but I want to work my way up. But yeah, my weekends, I got to admit, I'm just kind of crappy on the weekends. Even last night, we went out last night with our friends, and I was supposed to take it easy. I had a couple beers, and we had chicken wings, and that kind of. I was like, man, that's the third day in a row. That's 3 cheats out of 7.
Yeah.
That's not good. So
well, you're aware of the pattern.
yeah, I gotta kind of work on that. I know that this is coming to the end, but I gotta keep going.
Yeah.
So tonight's the last one, right?
Tonight's the last lesson, and I got to set up. I posted that calendar. You just let me know when you want to meet to go over your individual plan.
Okay.
So I want to make sure you have something you're comfortable with going forward.
All right.
All right.
I haven't been on there, so I'll have to look.
Yeah, I'll repost that tonight along with this.
Okay, cool.
So I'll get started here. I don't know if anybody else is coming on tonight. Okay. All right. So Sean, to kind of reiterate the story or the analogy in your head, you got the fridge upstairs, you got the freezer in the basement. Okay. The freezer in the basement is where we have to get to. That's your body fat. That's where your stored food is.
Mm-hmm.
Until that fridge upstairs is empty, that fridge and freezer on the main level is empty, the body has no reason to go down to take out storage, from the freezer in the basement, which represents your body fat. Weight loss is not simultaneous. It's not cut and do more and then you lose. You got to empty out this compartment before we get down there. So remember, we got to empty it out. We do that by fasting. And every time you open that fridge upstairs, that light goes on. Every time that light goes on, that signifies insulin. Every time insulin is spiked, forget weight loss. It's not going to happen. I have a lady I used to teach with shot me a message this weekend. She's been doing the Panda. She bought the book. She's menopausal. Nothing else works. She's down 12 pounds. And it's all because of the hormones. When you control the insulin, that's really where the game has changed. The Biggest Loser show, right? That follows the traditional approach: cut, work out harder, cut, work out harder. They have never had a reunion show because out of all the years they've done that show, one person has kept the weight off. Everybody else has wound up the same weight or heavier than when they started. Just showing you the flaws and the fallacy of following a traditional approach. Majority of them wind up with metabolic damage, right? You can really drastically, through doing extreme things, alter your metabolism for the negative, and it takes years to recover that, right? So we do not want to follow that approach. I want you to break that mindset. It's about controlling for insulin, which controls all the other hormones. So I have this in the book. It's called Uncoupling Protein 3. Okay, it's directly related to fat loss. Even when you just do a 15-hour fast, we're not even talking the 1 meal a day, 48-hour fast. It's more pronounced when you do that. 15-hour fast increases uncoupling protein 3 by 5 times. So it shows you how profound fasting is for fat loss. These two things are directly correlated. Fat loss only happens when uncoupling protein 3 is raised. So a 15-hour fast is enough to increase that by 5 times. So you have sirtuins, okay? There's 3 different types. They have to do directly with your mitochondria. That's where your energy storehouse is for the body, for the cells, is your mitochondria. That's the powerhouse. When sirtuins increase, the ability of the mitochondria to produce its own energy internally increases. This is a big reason why when you fast over time, metabolism will actually increase. And you should notice an increase in just overall energy, the feeling of energy. It's because of this. This is a key biofeedback thing I didn't go over too much with you guys. NEAT stands for non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So anything you do when you're working on cars, when you're walking back and forth the street, that's all non-exercise activity thermogenesis. It's anything besides formal exercise as far as activity is concerned. Now I noticed, and you've probably maybe noticed the same thing, when I would cut calories in the past, when I would get ready for my bodybuilding shows, when I was still teaching, my energy, this component, would drastically drop. It would drastically drop. The ability for me to even get out of a chair and teach my classes at that point was very difficult. My ability to feel like doing anything besides save up energy for my workouts was very hard. Because when you're reliant on an external fuel source of food, when you're playing the calorie cutting game, NEAT drops a lot. Now, this is a big part of your overall metabolism, though. The energy expenditure is this NEAT. There's this non-exercise activity. A key biofeedback thing, when fasting, this ability to move around and function throughout life should not drop off at all. When you play the calorie game and you cut calories to 1,500, 1,200, you're going to notice a big drop in. So that's a key biofeedback thing, which will tell you which way traditional cutting of the calories or fasting, which one is serving your body better. So going back to the hormones, I talked to you about the insulin. Now that largely ties into growth hormone. Okay, you get a 2,000 to 3,000% spike in growth hormone when you start crossing that 24-hour. I think somebody else is on here. When you start crossing that 24-hour mark, huge bump. What's up, Brian?
Hey.
You get a huge bump in growth hormone. Luteinizing hormone goes up, and this was shown in a 5-day fast with obese men. Luteinizing hormone would go up 67%. Luteinizing hormone is a precursor to testosterone. Okay, so you get a big bump in growth hormone, a big bump in luteinizing hormone. Now, when they've done other studies, because a lot of people are concerned with, well, I fast, I'm going to lose muscle. That's not the case. It goes against evolutionary biology. 72-hour fast, whether you're exercising or not. So whether you had that stimulus that was signaling the body to hold on to muscle, did not slow down muscle protein synthesis. Okay, so you can actually build muscle by not slowing down protein synthesis, nor did it cause an increase in breakdown of muscle. So a 3-day fast does not cause any type of increase in breakdown of muscle. So I show you guys this because the hormone benefit that you get from fasting is off the charts. You can't get this through any supplement. You're not going to get this through traditional dieting, but it's very powerful. Brian, I'll catch you up with some stuff in a minute, okay? So the mind map piece, with you guys coming to an end of this round, whenever you fall off track, the main thing that's going to knock you off track from any habits is stress, okay? I had a conversation with one of the guys in the group earlier. He did his exit meeting this afternoon, and we were connecting the dots, but the thing is not the thing. Meaning you might feel like, let's say you start drinking too much or whatever it is. That's not the thing. What is that giving you? Well, stress might be driving you to drink too much. But what is the feeling that drinking is giving you? And how can we replace it? So when you have habits, this is a very simple way that habits work. You have the trigger, okay, the trigger for the action, whatever that is. You have the habit, and then you have the reward. Okay, so the key is, what is the trigger? What's the reward you're trying to get out of it? Now we got to replace the habit, if it's not serving you, with something that's going to give you the same reward, whether it's a feeling of being good, whether it's some type of escape mechanism. So stress is going to knock you off track. That is going to cause you to disconnect from your deeper reason why. When you reconnect with your why, whatever you're focused on in life, that's what's going to keep you anchored in and keep you locked in to continue along the path. That's going to be your enthusiasm. Your enthusiasm is your fuel to keep going. As soon as it turns into just a very, okay, I got to lose 10 pounds, that is not an emotional driver. So in that case, what was the original reason you wanted to lose that 10 pounds? How is that going to make your life better? And you do the 5, 6, 7 exercise. Any good program should give you these two things when we're talking about nutrition. It should give you more energy, not less. Think about traditional, when you cut calories, what's going to happen over time, energy is going to drop. There's going to be a price to pay, okay? And it should give you the edge. The edge should give you that, it's like a mental edge. It should be a little bit challenging, but it should make you, people know you're doing something, just because your energy you're putting off is a little sharper, it's a little different, a little more aggressive, for lack of a better term. Right? So those two things should be present. Should give you the edge and should give you more energy. So pitfalls. I was going back through the Panda book, taking notes for you guys. One of the things, so now you have all the science that you need with fasting, okay? Keep in mind that when the sunlight increases, this is going to get much easier and you're going to see much more pronounced changes, as I told you in the beginning, with your weight loss. As soon as the weather turns warmer, if you continue to do the same thing you're doing with this, that's when you're going to see the big drops. Once you get that off, that's not going to come back on as long as you stay with your fasting. But know that when you get into the spring, you get into the summer, it gets much easier, and you're going to notice the weight loss benefits to this even more. But don't fall into the bright, shiny object syndrome where, oh, I got to start adding fat to my coffee. That's just one example. That doesn't make any sense if what we're trying to do with fasting is drop weight. As soon as you start putting external fuel sources in, your body, you signal to your body, don't worry about tapping into this body fat. I got plenty of fuel coming in over here. Don't worry about the science behind that stuff. Just realize when you are in the absence of calories, your body has to turn within to get its food. And always remember, the goal is to keep the goal the goal. Don't start getting distracted, okay? You don't have to add more. Complexity is the enemy of execution. Keep it simple. There was a book I read years ago, Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. And basically the premise, and I might have mentioned this book to you guys, the premise of the book is really the stress response with the animal system, with the human body. So if a zebra is getting chased by a lion, it goes into a sympathetic state. Okay, it's not going to fight the lion. In that case, it's not going into freeze mode. It's flight. Okay, it's going to use the flight principle. It's taking off. So it's a big stress response. Now it either gets away from the lion and then it goes back to the parasympathetic state when everything can function normally, rest, digest, recover, or it gets taken down and killed. Either way, it does not stay in this artificially induced sympathetic state of activation. We do. We as humans have figured out how to stay in this state chronically, from artificial light, from having people have access to us all the time on our phones, whatever it is, we are chronically, and we got to be aware of this is the importance of your breath work and your sleep, but we're not meant to be in that state chronically. It's going to lead to inflammation, insulin resistance, and not good stuff. So they have a story of this guy in the book. It's a true story. He was a Native American man in the 1800s, and he got attacked by a bear, okay? He shot the bear, bear ran off, but the bear clawed him open. And what they noticed when they were working on him is that his insides, his intestines, because they could see them visibly, were white. They were white. They said, wow, what is that? Why are his intestines white color? Why aren't they red color? Well, he was in this very stressful survival scenario where he got attacked by a bear. Now, what happens in a stress response? Your blood goes away from your gut. So right away, we know that's not good for digestion. Okay, so if you're chronically stressed, you should not be eating. If you don't have time to sit down and eat that meal, don't eat the meal. But the blood goes out towards the limbs, right? Now, when it goes out towards the limbs and it survives, now, again, most of our stress is up here. Your body reacts and responds the same way. In a stressful situation, blood goes away from the gut, blood sugar goes up. I don't know if you recall, I told you guys this in one of the lessons, with working out, blood sugar will go up to get immediate energy to the limbs to combat this stress that's coming your way. Now, you got to keep this in frame of mind. Your brain is responding to every stress as if it's a physical threat. So you could be artificially, you could be psychologically stressed. Blood sugar is going to go up, digestion is going to be impaired. So that's the importance of trying to get into balance with your two nervous systems. Get to balance with staying relaxed, getting enough sleep, taking time to wind down. So 3 simple rules to live by. The 3 joys of food. So remember this as you go forward. You should be in joy leading up to the meal. The environment in which you're going to eat, what you're going to eat, okay? And that goes along with the environment as far as who you're going to eat it with. We don't want you eating while you're doing a stressful work thing, okay? If the 3 joys aren't present, you can be sure that you're going to be in your sympathetic state, that state where the Native American got attacked by the bear. You don't want that. You want to be in your parasympathetic state. If the joys are present, you will be in your parasympathetic state. If you don't have time to eat, then skip the meal. Don't eat on the run. There's no point to that. You guys know how long you can go without eating now. There's no reason to just cram food down when you're driving around. If you don't have time to sit down and eat, you skip the meal. So these are very simple rules. And another one, just to keep in mind, when you're working out, okay, just a simple rule to live by, it kind of falls along with the fasting. But you don't eat before you work out. I'm not talking about right before the workout. I'm talking about if you have a workout plan later in the day, you know, if you got to keep the fasting really simple, no food should be in your body before you work out for the day. That means if you work out at 5 or 6 at night, follows along with your fasting principles. Real simple thing to follow if you ever feel like you're getting distracted and you get pulled too many directions. This slide right here is going to keep things very simple for you. Okay, 3 joys of food. Don't eat if you don't have time. Just sit down and enjoy it. don't eat before your workout, your movement. It doesn't have to be a formal workout. It could be a walk, it could be whatever. Fasting has pronounced effects on your brain in a good way, okay? Growth hormone is very beneficial for the human brain as far as keeping the brain young. You also have something called BDNF, which is basically a growth, like fertilizer for your brain and making new connections in your brain, connecting new neurons, creating new neurons. So it used to be thought that BDNF could only be increased through physical movement, okay? One of the great things, and I always tell people with exercise, the main thing about exercise is for your brain. There's certain growth factors, including BDNF, that could really only get into your brain through physical movement. Now, one thing they found with BDNF, fasting can actually increase BDNF. It's the only other way for that to cross the blood-brain barrier and get into your brain is fasting. So again, that's like fertilizer for your brain. Fasting has got great benefits for your brain. And you got to remember, you know, because I try to, when people get distracted with fasting, you got to remember all the benefits. One of the biggest benefits with fasting is it's giving you more of the most valuable thing you have, which is time. Okay? If you did nothing else and you just went from eating 3 meals a day to 1 meal a day, think about the time that you've opened up in your schedule because you no longer have those 2 other meals. That's significant when you multiply that over the course of a year. Okay, and it's not just the time you're taking to eat. You have momentum. Stopping whatever you're doing during the day to eat and then to restart. The stopping and the restarting take a tremendous amount of energy. When you're breaking from work to do this, and now you got to restart. It's like starting a locomotive. So that's one huge benefit of it as well. And with the brain too, they now term Alzheimer's as type 3 diabetes. We know diabetes is a problem with insulin. Okay, it's an insulin-resistant problem. They're linking Alzheimer's directly to insulin resistance and inflammation. And we know how we have problems with insulin is when we're eating too much, and then eating too much in the presence of chronic stress, eating too much of the wrong type of stuff. So if we reverse that, then you can kind of see the benefit to the brain. So fasting will actually help clear out a lot of these plaques that can build up over time that can contribute to dementia and Alzheimer's. Okay. So we went over quite a bit there. Brian, I just want to go over this one slide for you where you came in. I'm going to go over 2 slides for you real quick. So you have this slide, uncoupling protein 3. It's directly correlated with fat loss. Even when you just do a 15-hour fast, uncoupling protein 3 increases by 5 times. So showing you, I wanted to show you guys further proof of the effect of fasting on fat loss. And that compounds over time, guys. Like I said, when you keep this up in the warm weather, you're going to be very pleasantly surprised. And then this, Brian, NEAT is something called non-exercise activity thermogenesis. This is the biggest part of your movement besides formal exercise. This actually can contribute more to your overall movement than formal exercise. Now, what you're going to notice when you follow a traditional plan, and you cut calories and you increase activity, the ability for you to move around and function throughout life besides your workouts is going to decrease. Your desire to move is going to go down. And they've studied this when they cut calories with people and they track them, they move much, much less. The body's trying to conserve energy because it's reliant on this external energy source, so it's not getting enough. So a key biofeedback thing that I kind of just pieced together today when I was making notes, I've noticed with fasting, the longer fasting over the past 2 years, my ability to move around and function throughout the day with other activities has not gone down at all. If anything, it goes up. My energy just continues to increase, right? So that's a big difference between cutting calories, playing a traditional game, and fasting. What questions do we have, guys? We went over a lot of stuff. If you don't have any right now, that's fine too. We'll be having our individual meetings coming up. With those meetings, I want to make sure you have a plan going forward that you're comfortable with. Some type of fasting, but it's got to be something that you're comfortable doing. All right.
I'm good right now.
Good. Okay. I'll see you Friday morning, right, Brian?
Yep.
Okay. And then Sean, I'll post that schedule so you can schedule your meeting with me either this week or next. I'll make sure you're set up to go forward. Okay. All right, guys. You guys have a good night then.
Thanks, you too, Carl.
All right. I'll see you soon.